Now, usually Thursday's a book day here on France 24, and we're usually joined on a Thursday by our own book critic, Augustin Trapenard, but today it's a Tuesday and he's here anyway. Good to have you with us, Augustin.
Hey, Stuart.
What are you talking about today? Your last review before the summer holidays. You just told me that you felt like a rolling stone.
Yeah, I hope you're ready to rock and roll, Stuart, because I'm talking Rolling
Anytime.
Stones today. For the 50th anniversary of the band, you know, I brought two portraits of Mick Jagger and his famous Glimmer twin, Keith Richards. The first one is an unauthorized biography of Mick Jagger by Chris Anderson, who's a journalist, and the other one is Keith Richards' autobiography. But does it change anything? Not really. That's what I'm going to prove. Let's start with Mick, the wildlife and mad genius of Jagger, that has just been published here in France and will be out in a few days, on the 10th, I think, in the US.
Okay, so you said this one's unauthorised. What can we expect?
Every single gossip, everything, all the juicy details,
Whether it's
everything
true
you
or not, I
expect
suppose.
also,
Yeah.
Stuart, from such a sulfurous star as and living legend as Mick Jagger, who always said he would never publish an autobiography. So the author, basically, Chris Anderson, presents the book as the definitive biography of Mick Jagger. And you get plenty of details, of course, on his use of drugs, of all kinds of drugs, but also his sexual exploits, from Marianne Faithfull to, believe it or not, Carla Bruni or Princess Margaret. Okay. I was pretty surprised. Or Jackie Kennedy even. I'm not even mentioning, Pippa Middleton. Mm-hmm. There was a flirt, apparently.
Okay.
And also his bisexuality, because the book is pretty much about that too, with David Bowie or Andy Warhol. I think that the book, more seriously, is pretty amazing about all the myth making, about how you write a legend from his childhood to to his monumental success. And you'll see in this book how he managed really his legend, as a true ad man and as a businessman. And on that respect, it's pretty fascinating.
It sounds absolutely fascinating. It sounds like a roller coaster. Is the book worth it, do you think, Augustin?
Well, it's a little too trashy for me, and I have to say that the writing is not really lyrical and beautiful. That's the least I can say. And besides, the book, replays several chapters of a book that Chris Anderson already published, like in the 90s, on Mick Jagger, a book that is not even mentioned in the bibliography at the beginning of the book, which I find a little strange. But still, the subject, Mick Jagger, is pretty fascinating for the fans, of course, but also for anyone who's interested in the myth-making again, how to build a legend, because basically Mick Jagger appears as, a projection of collective fantasy, as a sum of a lot of fantasies, and that's what is pretty interesting about this book.
And presumably a lot on Mick Jagger's best enemy, Keith Richards.
Of course, some of the best chapters are about their explosive relationships, but the good thing is that you can read the other side of the story when you open Keith Richards' autobiography, which is entitled rather pompously Life. Not My Life, but Life, Stuart. Now, we have a teaser where Keith Richards himself introduces his memoirs. Just take a listen. Keith Richards.
Believe it or not, I remember everything. So get ready for the ride. It starts with a bang. It starts at a moment when I was in deep trouble. When was I not? When everything, Rolling Stones and all, looked as if it was going to come to a sticky end on a country road in Arkansas. I used up my 9 lives long ago. But here I am. I'm still playing, and I'm still rocking and still rolling. And I survived to tell this tale. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and used up his 9 lives, certainly did, and he survived to tell the tale as well. Definitely the voice of a legend.
Definitely, and you know that the word legend, interestingly enough, in Latin means the story that you should read, what you're supposed to read, what you're supposed to read in this book. The book is extremely interesting, in my opinion, very well made, because Keith Richards is kind of advertising himself as a living myth throughout the whole book. And I have to say, whether you're a fan or not, the book is pretty much what you expect, Stuart. The infamous destiny of the kid from Kent, who wrote, much to his surprise also, a huge page in the history of pop culture. And you'll get, of course, all the drugs, you'll get the sex life, you get all the juicy details, behind the creation of legendary songs like Satisfaction or Angie. And in the writing, of course, you'll get the attitude that you heard, the swagger and the posers also of the Keith Richards that we all know.
Okay. Did he really write the book, though?
I'm not sure. When you open the book, as a matter of fact, it reads that he got a little help from a friend of his whose name is James Fox and who happens to be a writer. So in my opinion, my guess is that he didn't write a word of it. But I tell you what, Stuart, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I think a rocker should never write his own story, because it doesn't matter if it's written by the rocker or by a journalist or by his best friend. It's actually written by everyone. That's the whole point about a rock legend. And that's what I meant when I said that the books were pretty much the same. Mick, the Wildlife and Mad Genius of Jagger by Christopher Anderson, and Life by Keith Richards. 50 years later, after the creation of the band, well, the Rolling Stones are still rocking and rolling.
Excellent stuff. Still rocking, rolling. Augustin Trapenard as well. Enjoy your holidays. We'll be back after the summer here on France 24. That's it from us. Latest news coming up. Stay with us if you can.